All right, so here we are in section 3, and this is definitely one of the most important properties that you're going to learn from now until you are done with math, which is called the distributive property, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and define it, and then I'm going to show you how it works. So, sorry, let me change my color. Let's use a black marker here. So we have our distributive property, and it starts off very similar to all the other ones. If A, B, C are real numbers, then A times the quantity of B plus C is equal to A times B plus A times C, okay? So in other words, what we say is if we have a number outside of a quantity, okay, now we don't know what this quantity is on the inside of the parentheses because we don't know what B or C is, but we know it's going to be a quantity. Well, if we have a number outside of the quantity, what we say is we are going to, and this is the big fancy word here today, we're going to distribute I can't spell. There we go. Now it looks bad. I hate this. There we go. We're going to distribute the A to the B and the C, meaning we're going to rewrite the problem as the multiplication of A times B plus A times C. All right? Now, let me kind of show you what this means, okay? Let's say, for example, I had 3 times the quantity, and this is going to look a little weird at first, all right? But it makes sense, all right? So let's say I had 3 times the quantity (2 plus 4), okay? Well, if I think about this, I'm supposed to do the work inside the parentheses first. So what I'm supposed to do is take this 2 and add 4 to it, and that's going to give me 6. And then I'm supposed to do multiplication next. 3 times 6 is 18. Well, according to this distributive property, there's another way that I can do this problem, okay? And the other way I can do this problem is I can take this 3 and distribute it to both of these terms. In other words, instead of me taking 2 plus 4 first, what I can do is take 3 times 2 plus 3 times 4. And now, if I were to take 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 3 times 4, which is 12, and add them together, notice I still get 18. So we call that the distributive property, okay? And what it really helps us out with is when we can't add the things inside the parentheses. So like, for example, here, if the directions were to distribute 6 times x plus 7, well, what we want you to do is take this 6 and multiply it times x, and then multiply it times 7. So we write it out, and then if we can, we do any sort of simplifying that we can. Now, we don't know what 6 times x is, and that's because we don't know what x is. However, we do know 6 times 7, which is going to be 42. Okay? Now, another example here would be something like this. I can use the word simplify. And say, well, let's go ahead and simplify 9 times the quantity 2x minus 4, okay? And it's the same, we're going to follow the same exact process here. There's nothing we can do inside the parentheses because we cannot combine those two together, all right? But what we can do is take 9 times 2x minus 9 times 4. Now, 9 times 2, we can do that. The associative property says, I don't care the order in which you're going to multiply things. Just go ahead and multiply. So 9 times 2x is going to be 18x. minus 9 times 4 is 36. And there's our final result right there. See, in general, we always want to remove parenthesis signs when simplifying. Okay? The best way to do this, notice the all the underlining underneath the word best, because this is the best way to do this. Is to use the distributive property. Okay? Like I said, this is by far the most important property you're going to learn from now until you're done with math. You use it all the time. Okay? So we could take this one step further now, because we can actually use fractions. And what I mean by that is, I don't care what the number is out front. Okay? Well, let me write the directions. I don't care what the number is out front. If I want to remove parentheses, I'm going to take that number out front and multiply it by every single term. So 3 over 4 times n plus 3 over 4 times 12. Now, we know 3 over 4 times n, there's nothing we can do there. So that's going to stay the same. However, 3 over 4 times 12, we can definitely reduce. Remember, when you multiply fractions, you reduce first. Now, 12, I can rewrite as 3 times 4. And the reason why I rewrote it as 3 times 4 is so I can go ahead and just reduce the 4's. And notice I'm left over with 3 times 3, which is going to be 9. So 3 over 4 times the quantity n plus 12 is equal to 3 over 4n plus 9. All right, let me go ahead. I'll do one more like this so you can see it. So let's go ahead and let's simplify 8 times 3 over 8x plus 1/4. Well, remember, we want to remove parentheses. The best way to do this is to use your distributive property. So here's my distributive property in action. Now I'm going to simplify whatever I can. So if I look, 8 times 3 over 8, well, this is really 8 over 1. Remember that. And the 8's are going to reduce. So you're left with 3x plus. Now over here, and I'll write it off to the right-hand side. That 8 times 1/4, well, I can rewrite the 8 as 2 times 4. And the reason why I did that is so I can visually see the 4's reduce. And I'm left over with 2 times 1, which is 2. So 8 times 3 times a quantity, 3/8 x plus 1/4 is equal to 3x plus 12. All right. Now, this may look a little weird, but it's still the same exact thing. We're going to simplify the quantity y plus 2 times 4. Now, in this situation, notice that the number is no longer out front. It's all the way on the right-hand side. Like traditionally, we like it over here. Okay? But according to the commutative property of multiplication, which we learned in the previous section, I'm just going to write commutative property here. According to that commutative property, the quantity y plus 2 times 4 is the same exact thing as 4 times the quantity of y plus 2. So if you wanted to, you could take this extra step, apply your commutative property just to rewrite the problem, and now we can go ahead and distribute to give us 4y plus 8. Now, technically, you really don't even have to do this property because you can what we call right distribute, which means since your number's on the right-hand side, you could still distribute it because remember, multiplication, the order doesn't matter. So 4 times y and then 4 times 2 will still get you 4y plus 8. Okay? Now the last thing I want to do is just go over some examples. We're going to be using order of operations. And we're going to add, or we're going to combine the distributive property with inside it. Okay? All right, so here's some examples here. So part A, let's do 8 minus 2 times the quantity x plus 3. So remember, the order of operations states you got to do the work inside the parentheses. However, if you look inside the parentheses, I cannot group them together. They're not like terms. So I have no other choice other than to distribute. But here's the key. I'm going to highlight this for us, okay? This is unbelievably important. We're going to distribute the negative 2. Okay, we're going to distribute the negative 2. So, if you're just following along right now, watch what I write. I'm going to write 8 minus 2 times x plus negative 2 times 3. Okay? Now, I wrote it like this for a specific reason because I want you to see that that negative is included with the 2. So when you go to distribute it, you got to write negative 2. So I get 8 minus 2x, and then negative 2 times positive 3 is going to be minus 6. Now I can group those two numbers right there. So 8 minus 6 is going to be 2 minus 2x. All right, so that's one way we can write the answer, or the other way we can write this answer is negative 2x plus 2 using our commutative property, okay? All right, let's do another one like this, and this time we'll speed up just a little bit here. Very similar. So if we want to simplify 9 minus 3 times the quantity x plus 2, remember, order of operations says do the work inside the parentheses. However, we cannot do this here, okay? So we're going to have to distribute to remove parentheses. So I'm going to write it out. 9 minus 3 times x plus negative 3 times 2. That's going to yield 9 minus 3x minus 6 again. Notice I can group these two terms right there. 9 minus 6 is going to be 3. So we get negative 3x plus 3 for our final result. Okay? The only way I can kind of, I don't know, I guess, make these more intense is just by giving you multiple parentheses here. So 6 times the quantity x minus 9 minus x plus 12. Okay? So here, notice I have 2 sets of parentheses, and there's actually something happening with that second set. So this second set right here, there's one thing that we are very lazy when we write this, and that is, even though this says minus the quantity of x plus 12, there's really a minus 1 there. Okay? So anytime there's no number directly in front of the parenthesis, if it's just the minus sign, we assume that there's a 1 there. And the reason why we do that is now we can distribute the 6, and we're going to distribute the negative 1. So hopefully from here you can kind of see that I'm going to get 6x minus 54, because 6 times 9 is going to be 54. And then I get negative 1 times x, which is going to be negative x. And negative 1 times positive 12 is minus 12. So I didn't really write out on the right-hand side what I did. I kind of did it in my head because I want you to be able to start to see these things. Okay? So now we're going to group like terms. So I could definitely group the 6x minus x together. 6 minus 1 is 5x. And then I can also group the negative 54 minus 12. Since the signs are the same, we're going to combine the numbers and keep the sign. So 54 and 12 is going to be negative 66. So our final result is going to be 5x minus 66. Okay? Let's do one more example like this, and then we'll call it a day. So we got 8 times the quantity x minus 1 minus 2 times the quantity x plus 5. Okay? So here we know we want to remove parentheses. All right? So to do that, we're going to take the 8 and distribute. That's going to give me 8x minus 8. And we're also going to take the negative 2 and distribute that. Negative 2 times x is minus 2x. Negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10. Now we group all of our like terms. 8x minus 2x is going to be 6x. And then negative 8 minus 10, signs are the same, so you combine them and keep the sign, minus 18. Okay? And that's going to be it for this video. Just make sure that we understand the process of the distributive property and what it enables us to do, which is removes parentheses. It removes those grouping symbols for us. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.